Good day, everyone. Today we're going to tackle or discuss the introduction to renewable energy. Renewable energy is the future of sustainable power, harnessing nature's resources like the sun, wind, and water to provide clean, reliable energy. So, what exactly is renewable energy? Simply, it refers to energy that comes from natural sources that are constantly being replenished. These sources includes things like the sun, wind, water, the heat of the earth, and even plants. Now, what makes renewable energy special is that unlike fossil fuels, which can run out, these sources are always available, whether it's sunlight, wind blowing, or the earth's natural heat. These are various technologies that take these natural sources and turn them into usable forms of energy. Most of the time, we use reusable energy to create electricity, but it can also be used for things like heating, making chemicals, or even producing mechanical power. In essence, renewable energy is all about tapping into nature's resources that we can rely on again and again without worrying about them running out. So, sa summarize ko lang, tatagalogin ko lang siya, which is, it says na ang renewable energy is pwede mo siyang gamitin ng gamitin kasi hindi siya nauubos. Hindi katulad ng fossil fuels na malapit na siyang maubos. I-compare mo sa renewable energy like solar, which come from the sun, hydroelectricity is for the water, wind, air, and then biomass. Now, you might be wondering, why should we use renewable energy? Well, right now, we mainly rely on fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas to power our homes and cars. The problem is, these resources are limited, meaning in future time is pwede na siyang maubos and pwede na siyang totally mawala. And we're using them faster that they can be replaced. Eventually, they will run out. At the same time, we're facing growing energy needs. In fact, over the next 20 years, the United States energy demand is expected to increase by 33%. Renewable energy can help meet that gap. But it's not just about the supply, it's also about the impact on our environment. Fossil fuels produce harmful pollutants like greenhouse gases, which contribute to global warming and climate change. So, as a result, we're seeing more extreme weather, rising sea levels, and environmental damage from pollution. Renewable energy is much cleaner and better for the planet because it produces very little pollution. It also helps reduce our reliance on imported oil, which boosts our energy security and could even save money. The good news is renewable energy sources like solar and wind are plentiful, and the technology to harness them is improving all the time. In fact, many of us are already using renewable energy in our everyday lives without even realizing it. Okay, so one of the most widely used forms of renewable energy is hydropower. Largest and most mature source of renewable energy, producing about 10% of the nation's electricity. Hydropower is the oldest and most established form of renewable energy. In fact, it provides about 10% of the electricity we use today. It is a reliable source of power because it has been used for a long time. So next, existing capacity of 77,000 megawatts. The current capacity of hydropower in the US is approximately 77,000 megawatts. This means we have a large infrastructure in place to generate electricity from flowing water. Next one is it converts the energy in flowing water into electricity. Hydropower works by using the energy of moving water. The force of flowing water is captured and turned into electricity through turbines like a giant water wheel. A common method is using a dam to retain water in a reservoir, which is released through the turbines to generate power. So one common way to generate hydropower is by building a dam on a river. The dam holds a large amount of water in a reservoir, and then when the water is released, it flows through the turbines, generating electricity as it moves. So another method, which is the alternative method, is the run of the river systems, which don't require a dam. Instead, water is diverted directly from the river, sent through a pipeline to a turbine, and then returned to the river. It's less disruptive to the environmental because it doesn't require a large reservoir, unlike sa dam. So next one is no air emissions but can impact water quality and wildlife habitats. Hydropower doesn't produce harmful air emissions like burning fossil fuels. However, it can affect water quality and disrupt local wildlife habitats, especially around dams. So, new designs minimize river impact by diverting flow around dams and using fish ladders to assist migration. So, to reduce the environmental impact, modern hydropower plants are designed to be more eco-friendly. Some divert water around from the dam to maintain the natural flow of the river, while others use fish ladders. Ito yung special structures that help fish migrate around the dam safely. Okay. So reduce power, another one na hindi nakalagay sa PowerPoint is reduce power output due to environmental considerations. So while these environmental considerations are important, they do mean that the power output from hydropower plants might be slightly lower than traditional methods. But it's a small price to pay for protecting our rivers and wildlife.
Here are four types or uses of biomass in producing sustainable energy. First one is bioenergy. It is the energy derived from biomass, including plants and industrial residuals, which can be used as renewable energy source. Biopower, the second largest renewable energy source after hydropower. It utilizes biomass through direct combustion, gasification, and pyrolysis to generate electricity while reducing harmful emissions. Biofuels such as ethanol and biodiesel are liquid fuels derived from biomass that are used for transportation and power generation, with ongoing research exploring alternative sources like crop residues and waste materials. Bio-based products use biomass like corn, soybeans, and woods to create alternative to petroleum-based materials, including plastic and industrial components. As I've said earlier, the Earth's heat can be harnessed to make electricity. So, geothermal energy, the Earth's internal heat is used for electricity generation, heating, and cooling with vast potential exceeding global oil and gas resources. Geothermal, geothermal electricity production generates electricity by using underground steam or hot water to drive turbines with three main types: dry steam, flash steam, and binary cycle depending on the temperature and state of the geothermal resource. Geothermal heat pumps uses the stable underground temperature to efficiently heat and cold buildings by transferring heat between the earth and indoor spaces. For geothermal direct use, harnesses lower temperature geothermal water for heating buildings, agriculture, and industrial processes through direct systems or heat exchangers replacing conventional heat sources.
Solar energy. Solar technologies tap directly into the infinite power of the sun and use that energy to produce heat, light, and power, often using technologies like solar panels or solar thermal collectors. So, the radiant energy from the sun is harnessed and converted into usable forms like electricity or heat. Next is we're going to talk about the passive solar lighting and heating, solar water and heating, solar electricity, and solar thermal electricity. First is the passive solar lighting and heating. So, for centuries, people have used the sun to heat and light their homes, where their homes have a sun welcoming design. So, the modern version is called a passive solar because no pumps, fans, or other mechanical devices are used. So, passive solar design uses building orientation, large south facing windows, and heat absorbing materials like bricks or tile to naturally heat and light homes in winter and stay cool in summer without mechanical systems. So, combined with energy efficient features like insulation and energy saving appliances, it significantly reduces energy cost. Second is the solar water heating. Solar water heating system use roof-mounted collectors to heat water or a heat transfer fluid which is stored in a tank. So there are three main collector types. There are flat plate, a evacuated tube, and a concentrating collector. So this system can be passive, where passive is a solar water heating system where it uses a natural convection or household water pressure to circulate water through a solar collector to a storage tank. They have no electricity component that could break, a feature that generally makes them more reliable, easier to maintain, and possibly longer lasting than the active systems. So an active system uses an electric pump to circulate water or non-toxic antifreeze through the system. So active system are usually more expensive than yung passive system, but they are also more efficient. Active systems also can be easier to retrofit than passive system because their storage tanks do not need to be near the collectors. So, but because of the active system use electricity, they will not function in a power outage. That's why many active systems are now combined with a small solar electric panel to power the pump. So, yung are active and can provide cost-effective hot water for homes and pools depending on sun exposure and system setups. So, solar electricity, which is also called photovoltaic systems, convert sunlight directly into electricity using solar modules, which convert sunlight into electricity, inverters, which convert electricity into alternating current, so it can be used by most household appliances, and sometimes batteries, which stores excess electricity produced by the system. Grid connected system can feed extra power back through net metering, which if any additional power is produced by a photovoltaic system that is not being used by a home or building. And solar electricity is especially useful in remote areas. Reducing energy use first helps optimize system size and cost. Unlike solar electric systems that convert sunlight into electricity, solar thermal electric system converts the sun's heat into electricity. Solar thermal system use mirrors to focus sunlight and generate heat, which drives conventional generators to produce electricity, mainly in large-scale power plants. So technologies include power towers, which use mirrors to focus sunlight onto the tower which is the top receiver that heats molten salt to generate steam and electricity. And then the parabolic throws use curved mirrors to heat oil in certain pipes, which then produces steam for electricity. And then the dish or engine systems, which use a mirrored dish to concentrate heat on a receiver, where fluid expands to drive a piston and generate electricity mechanically. So, with application ranging from small remote setups to massive grid connected plants. So, for hundreds of years, people have used windmills to harness the wind's energy. So, today's wind turbines, which operate differently from windmills, are much more efficient technology. So, modern wind turbines use advanced blades and generators to convert wind into electricity. Utility scale turbines range from 50 kilowatts to over 2 milliwatts, while smaller turbines serve homes and farms. Wind turbines can also be placed in the shallow water near a coastline if open land is limited. Next is hydrogen. Hydrogen is a clean fuel that produces only water as an emission. Though abundant, it must be extracted, often by reforming natural gas. Hydrogen fuel cells, which act like rechargeable batteries, are promising for vehicles and power systems. And lastly is the ocean energy. The ocean provides thermal energy from sun warmed waters and mechanical energy from tides and waves. Ocean thermal systems use warm water to generate electricity, while tidal and wave systems use dams or mechanical devices to drive turbines and generators for power production.